Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about the last movie Meghan did before becoming a Duchess called The Daters Handbook. Let's get into it. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you haven't already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Now, before we start talking about this movie where Meghan was very clearly running these boys, I want to talk about a couple of things. So thank you so much for following me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Over on Twitter, we have been discussing this video from The Walkabout. Now, if you can recall, right after Queen Elizabeth passed away, the Wales apparently invited the Sussexes out to do a walkabout to greet mourners who came to show their respects to Queen Elizabeth. And as they were walking up, I even talked about their walking up to the walkabout. It was very clear that Prince William, Prince Harry, and Meghan were all on one accord, and Kate was kind of standing off to herself. I felt like, and I discussed this before, I felt like her body language was very defiant. Her face was scowling. She was very resistant to unifying with the other three. And whenever they went over to talk to someone prior to getting started with the walkabout, Kate walked over. When Harry and William joined her, she seemed happy. But then when William invited Meghan over, and then Harry went and stood next to Meghan, and they showed that you are part of this as well, she went back to her scowl. Very clear who the holdout was when it comes to resolving this rift. And I thought the walkabout and the show of unity was very necessary, and I was very happy to see that other people were also on the same accord. When a country is in mourning, it is a lot to deal with, and people often need to see some sort of unity. They need to see some sort of show of faith, but it was very clear that Kate did not want parts of that, and you could tell. I don't know what that had to do with. Maybe she didn't realize that she was going to be out there with Meghan and Harry, and maybe when she realized that Meghan was going to be there and she knew, oh, if Meghan's there, then there are no cameras on me. Damn, maybe that was it. I don't know. Who knows? I know that it wasn't very planned out. I know that it was kind of impromptu, and they had to make adjustments for the invitation very close to the walkout time, to the walkabout time. And so it could have been a wide array of things, but there's a video circulating from that day that I was completely shocked about, and we're talking about it over on my TikTok. And it doesn't, it's not enough for me to do a whole video on it, but I did want to kind of stick my thoughts here. The video shows William is speaking, and he's talking to Meghan and Harry, and Kate is kind of standing back. And so he pulls her in to kind of join the four of them, much like he did with Meghan earlier when they first started walking up. He invited Meghan over and introduced her to someone. And I thought, and I said this before, I thought at least when the cameras were there, it was very clear that William was trying to show like more unity and maybe right some wrongs, at least in public. William was inviting Kate over to hear what he was saying, or to just join the four of them so that they could wave goodbye to mourners before they ended their walkabout. And as he's pulling her over, Meghan and Harry are listening to William and then also looking out at the crowd, but they're hearing what he's saying. And when he pulls Kate over, she catches Meghan's eyes, like she makes eye contact, and she steps toward her in this menacing manner. Now, when I heard about this, I saw the first video where William is somewhat blocking my view of Kate, and I can't really see. But what I did see was how Meghan reacted. She literally reared back. She recoiled at Kate, and like she kind of stepped back, and Harry reached out and kind of pulled her in. And I thought that was weird because she's not a timid person. She's very self-assured and very confident, and she is very resolute. It's one of the things I really like about Meghan. She's not like a infantilized girl. She is very much a woman. So to see her recoil and kind of pull in, I said something must have triggered her or scared her even, or just, she was probably like, what the fuck? Because that was my reaction when I was like, what the fuck did she just do? So I saw the second video from a different angle. And it's going to be hard to explain away this action from Kate. It's very clear that she is eyeing Meghan and giving her this face and stepping toward her. And so I showed the video to someone who does not follow the royals at all. He doesn't follow anything royal related or celeb culture, nothing. Showed him this video and said, what do you make of this? And he said, she looks like a witch. And I was like, exactly. So before I did this video, I said, let me make sure I put an evil eye up on the wall to repel anything evil being sent my way. The eye is looking at you. But I did think she looked like a witch myself. I said, whoa, that's weird. And it's so odd to me how there are so many body language experts. They have peanuts for brains, but they love dissecting Meghan. Meghan could literally breathe. And they're like, did her lungs fill up to full capacity? Does Meghan have weak lungs? Oh my God, is Meghan a fish? Like, they love dissecting Meghan, but this woman, Kate, is clearly being menacing. Whether it was intentional or not, whatever led her to make that face and stare at Meghan like that and step like that, it made me kind of like, what the hell is going on behind the scenes, man? Like, it's weird. Like, in her face kind of had like, try me. She had this very menacing face. I was sitting there like, well, hold on now, because this looks like a threat. Her body language was so threatening. It was terrifying to me. And it was very clear that whatever message she sent, Meghan immediately recognized it. And like, she put up a defense, and she even had her arm like stiff in the video. I don't know what to make of it, so I'm going to avoid making assumptions. But I just want anyone who decides to back Kate up to see that video and ask yourself, what the hell would you do if a grown-ass woman came at you in that same manner? And I'm gonna leave it there. But Kate just gives me the ick. And this is my unbiased and objective opinion. I am not just attacking her because of things she's done in the past. I'm talking about her clearly in this video being very menacing. And it is alarming to see that if she's willing to do that in public, what the hell is she doing behind closed doors? And why are why are they allowing whatever it is to happen? It's weird. And this is not the first we've seen of Kate alienating other women. She's got quite the reputation for wanting to be a guy's girl and wanting to be the only girl in the group. The gossip mill says that she also alienated her husband's cousins. So I don't know. And there's been a few instances of their back and forths as well. But the common denominator is always Kate. That's all I'm saying. And so I have my limitations. I try not to talk about Kate too much because I don't care for her. From what I've seen, she represents a certain type of person that I do not care for. I just think you get so many more flies with honey, and there are some people out here who can't look within and build themselves up, so they have to look outward and try to tear everyone around them down so they can feel big. She gives me that vibe. I'm sorry. I try not to talk about her for that reason. Now, I won't talk about her children or anything like that, or like her family. I try not to get into that stuff because, that's not really my lane, but I don't like seeing things like this. And it did give me bully vibes. And when I saw that video, it completely reinforced what I already knew. I said, there is no way she made that woman cry. Like, there's no freaking way. I don't even think that woman has tear ducts. Get out of here. And I saw somebody tweet, y'all expect us to believe that this woman cried over bridesmaids dresses or flower girl dresses, but she didn't cry at her own grandmother-in-law's funeral. And I was like, exactly. She didn't shed nan tear at that funeral, but we're supposed to believe she cried because Meghan upset her over bridesmaids dresses. Okay. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to address that video because I am talking about her over on TikTok. And so if you found me because of my TikTok, then I did want to follow up with you on that. Please tell me what you made of that video, because when I saw it, I immediately wanted to jump out of my skin. Come on. Honestly, I was just like, I completely was like, go get the switch off the tree. Like, you want to intimidate somebody? But no, they're all grown women. And it's shocking to see a grown woman act like that. And Meghan handled it with such grace. And I hate that she has to keep handling the behavior of others with grace and class. I wish she could be in an environment where she could be with other like-minded people who don't behave that way and aren't menacing towards her. And so that video upset me. I was pissed. And if you saw my tweets, you know I was hot. So, if you saw my tweets on Twitter and my TikTok, you know my opinion of it, but just wanted to follow up on that. So on a lighter note, I spent the morning with Meghan. I watched the Daters Handbook. It's a Hallmark movie, and I watched it on Amazon Prime. And I actually found out that there's an actual book about this movie. Like, they made the movie into a book as well. So I thought that was cute because the movie's based on a fictional book. So the movie, again, is called The Daters Handbook. It came out in 2016, and the director is James Hurd. Now, Meghan plays a character named Cassandra Barber, and Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie a 26% audience score. So when I saw that, I was like, this might not be so good. But then I realized it's a Hallmark made-for-TV movie. They all kind of have that same type of quality, that same type of storyline. You watch these movies with a certain intent. Same reason I watch Lifetime. I want some mess and some gossip, and I want to see some empowered women wreck and shop. That's why I watch Lifetime. And when I watch Hallmark, I want to see some fun, witty rom-coms or some Christmas movies. So I think maybe Rotten Tomatoes audience they didn't really get it, but those that get it, get it. So anyway, the synopsis is Cass is a successful businesswoman that appears unsuccessful in her personal life and decides to try the Daters Handbook at her sister's encouragement and dates several guys to test the process. I said, okay, so Meghan's running these guys. All right, got it. Now, it was funny because it was weird watching her in a movie with other men because it's been so long since I've seen her with anyone else other than Harry. So it was funny because I was just like, okay, I guess we left Harry at home. Okay, got it. But no, this was long before she became a duchess and before she married Harry. This is 2 years before she married Harry. And this is just a movie, obviously. But she was a great actress. I found her as a main character to be engaging. I thought she was fun, and I thought she had a certain innocence about her that made you root for her, and that's important in my main girl in movies. Same with Sydney in Scream. You want Sydney to live every movie, no matter how many times people come at her trying to hack her up into pieces. I always want Sydney to prevail just because she's not only strong, but she's a relatable character. Your main character has to be somebody people root for. Spoiler alert. If you want to watch it for yourself with no spoilers, pause me, go watch it, come back. But so she starts the movie dating this jerk, and he clearly doesn't know that much about her. They've been dating 2 years, and he doesn't even know her allergy. He gives her hot wings that have honey on them. She's allergic to honey. So he was trying to take Meghan up out of here. She gets invited to her employee's wedding. Her boyfriend won't go because he doesn't do weddings. And then as they're talking about him not going to this wedding, he talks about he doesn't do corporate outings. He doesn't do friend outings. He doesn't do anything he doesn't want to do. And he says it's to avoid being asked when they're going to get married. But Cassandra, who's Meghan in the movie, says no one's ever asked us that. So he's just being a bump on a log. They're obviously mixed matched. And her sister and mom don't want her with this guy because he's obviously a jerk. And she's one of those characters that sees potential, but doesn't actually look at what's in front of her. And that's a dangerous game to play. So I'm one of those people who I can see potential, like with my employees. I can see potential. And when I'm assessing and training and giving mentorship and coaching, I can see what their next level is. And I can see what it's going to take for them to get there. But in a partnership, as far as romance, that's not going to work. Because the person has to actually have the intent to tap into that potential. And that's the one key element that a lot of people miss when they're looking at potential. They're not actually looking at if this person even cares about having that potential. Some people are at their last stop and they're fine with that. And if that's not okay with you, then I recommend not trying to change them. I recommend finding someone who's continuing on that progress. Now, she goes to the wedding and she's seated at the singles table, and she is only one of 2 adults at this table. That was some shady seating. And the other guy at the table is named Robert, and they just hang out because they're the only 2 adults, and they have a really good time. And Robert is obviously smitten with her. They bump into each other a couple of other times outside of the wedding, and he asks her on a date, and they start dating. And that's when she finds out about this Daters Handbook. And she finds it in her assistant's desk. She starts reading it, and she decides to start imparting the wisdom from this book into her dating life. And right as she starts dating Robert, the wedding guy, her client, George, he's an attorney who's hired her firm for PR, I'm assuming. I'm not sure what they do, marketing, PR, I'm not sure, but he hired her firm and she did such a great job that he came over and asked her for dinner. So she starts dating George too. Now, George is buttoned up, straight-laced guy, and Robert is a very fun guy. Robert gets her jokes. Robert understands her humor. He loves her spontaneity. He has a good time, and he matches her wit. Whereas George, he's kind of trying to fit her into a mold, I think. But I think it was just very clear that he judged her for everything. And so they went to this art gallery at one point, and she's making really funny, witty jokes. And he's just kind of like stank face all the time. And he does this thing that I hate when people do. And she was kind of being facetious. She was like, oh, I can see the duality. And she like makes up this really funny story to go with the painting. And he was like, well, if that's how you see it. Like he totally judges her as opposed to like stopping and being like, she's being funny. And so there's a lot of instances like that. But all in all, she's trying to follow the rules of the book. Makes the choice not to keep seeing Robert, the wedding guy, even though he's more her style, because she's trying to change her dating habits because they've led her down some dead ends. And so she keeps dating George, the stiff guy, and her mom and sister have multiple debates about what kind of guy she should be seeing. And she sees a very healthy, happy marriage in her sister's marriage. They seem so happy, and her sister just won't stop sticking her nose in her business. But after she runs into Robert, the wedding guy, randomly and spends time with him, she goes back to George and realizes, yeah, no, this doesn't work. I need to be passionate about the person I'm dating. And so obviously she dumps George, and then she goes back to wedding guy Robert, and they live happily ever after. And it's a fun story. I love the movie. So my thoughts on it were, there was a scene where the boyfriend she started the movie with, there was a scene where he's at the batting cages and he plans a date for her at the batting cages so she could just watch him hit the ball. Just trashy. So that's when she's like, okay, I've had enough of this. But when she's sitting there talking to him, she's already sitting with the Duchess slant. And I immediately recognized it and started laughing. I was like, oh, she was built for this royal life. But she was sitting with her Duchess slant. I thought it was so funny and so classy, but I recognized it right away. Also, I'm glad one of the rules from the dating handbook was to assess whether or not your partner respects your boundaries. This is something that these rom-coms always ignore. And even in some instances, this movie kind of ignored it a little bit too. But in rom-coms, they are infamous for putting obsessive and disrespectful and boundary crossing behavior at the forefront and making it look like passion. But you still need to contain yourself and respect people's safety and passion. They love making these scenes where people do outrageously inappropriate things, like show up at your job or like randomly, or stop you on the highway and ask you to pull over so that you guys can talk, or continue pursuing you after you've already said to leave you alone. They show these behaviors in a positive light. And I was really glad that this movie pointed out this person needs to respect your boundaries. And that's not talked about enough. A person worth dating is someone who will respect your boundaries. And I was glad they said it. Also, lastly, this is the last movie that Meghan did before she became a Duchess. And it's a very fun movie to watch. I highly recommend it. Now, I don't know why it got a 26% audience score on Hallmark. I would highly recommend it. I enjoyed it, but it was very fun to watch. So have you seen the movie? Please let me know. If you have, tell me your thoughts on it and tell me what you thought about it. Now, before I go, I just wanted to tag in my description box below the actual Daters Handbook, the book that's made about this movie. Also, 2 articles reviewing this movie that I thought were really good. And I was going to read an excerpt from them, but I had so much to say on my own. I just didn't think it was necessary. But I think this is a great movie to get started for the weekend. I recommend watching it, especially if you don't have anything to do and you want something fun and family safe, this is not one of those movies where you're going to see a lot of improper things. I thought it was very classy and very well done. It's also shot in Denver, Colorado, which I thought was so random because you rarely see Denver or Colorado in general as a backdrop to movies. So it's something different. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. If you have not already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Also, on Monday, I'm doing my first live to celebrate hitting 5,000 subscribers. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And because of that, there won't be a Sussex Monday video. At 5 o'clock on Monday, 5 o'clock Eastern on Monday, I'm doing a live and we're going to talk about Sussex related topics, also talk about the channel and some other really cool things that I've got coming down the pipeline, coming down the pipeline, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So feel free to turn on your notification bell so that you can be notified whenever that live is starting so that you can join me. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe, follow me on socials, and I will see you next time. Bye.